are here with the podcast From the Gutter to Growth, and I am one of the co-hosts, Yashika Benford, and I am so happy to have our special guest with us on today. Woo! We are gonna be talking about some amazing things. So, Constance, like, I just appreciate you so much for being here with us today. And we're going to dive in. We're going to
I
dive in because we just know that you're going to just give the audience something that they can grow from, pull from, and it's just going to re energize them and let them see, man, I have something that I can do. I can overcome some
yes.
things and give back to the earth, which is why we're here. We're here
Yes,
to
absolutely.
share, what we've been through so we can bless others. So, are you
Well,
ready?
I'm ready. Thank you for having me. And I just have to say, I absolutely love your energy.
Oh, thank you so much. We are gonna dive in. Look, you already know that, if you have been listening to From the Gutter to Growth, that we are authentic. We don't come with fluff because we're here to grow. We're here to, whether it's small growth, big growth, we're all about growing and overcoming, and that is why we do what we do, why we're sharing our story. So let's dive in. So the biggest thing that we talk about is people being stuck. Like, that
Mm.
is really what keeps people from living out their purpose, diving into their passion, because they're stuck. So what can you say was your experience and the things that you feel like was holding you back from stepping into what you were called to do?
I love this question. So, I think the biggest thing that kept me stuck and that I see the most in individuals that I work with is overcoming the programming that we
Wow.
all go through, right? So, the
Right.
you have to do this and you should do this. And so we are taught from a very, very, very young age by parents, by teachers, by anyone, any of our caretakers, that these are the things that we should and we have to do. Even something as small as maybe your parents are both doctors, and so
Right.
then you kind of feel that, like, they're like, oh, you should follow in our
That
path and,
pressure.
and go
Yeah.
to medical school.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so all of a sudden you find yourself really living a life that others think you should live.
Right.
And you're like,
Yes.
wait, I don't know if this is my path. Like, I don't know if
Mhm.
this fulfills my soul, if this is like calling, my true calling.
Right.
And so many of us have to overcome the that external validation and get
Mhm.
really quiet with ourselves and ask ourselves, what is it that fulfills us? What is it
Right.
that lights me up? What
Mhm.
do I love to do?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
build and create a life around that. And that is where you're going to find your purpose. And that is where you're going to find your true fulfillment.
Yes, I love how you mentioned that external validation,
Hmm.
because I feel like now it's beyond even your household. Like, normally, I know when we were growing up, we didn't have social media, we didn't have all these other things, but so many people, it's like they have all these external pieces that, are trying to pull them into different ways and saying, if you're not doing this, or if you don't look like this, or if you don't sound like this, then you're not it. You're not the it factor. So have you ever experienced that, just feeling like I'm not the it factor because of what other people or outside influences are saying you should look like, sound like, what you should be doing?
Absolutely. I think that has a lot to do with limiting beliefs and blocks
Yes.
that keep us stuck.
Yes.
And feeling that, okay, to overcome this limiting belief or block, that let's say I don't feel like enough, maybe I don't
Hmm.
feel worthy enough, right? So instead, if I don't feel that internally, what I will do is I will try to find that externally and I
Yes.
will get that
So
from the
true.
validation, right?
Yes.
And what happens is we end up on this hamster wheel of continuing to chase things
Mm,
that we think are going to validate us, and then when we get those, we're like, "Oh wait, I
that's
thought
not
once
it.
I got this, I
Yes.
was going to feel worthy, and
Yeah.
I don't."
Right.
And so
Right.
it's realizing that these limiting beliefs and blocks, the I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty,
Hmm.
skinny enough. Whatever the heck it is that
Right.
is keeping you from, getting to your next level in your personal life or professional life. The the number one step is like the awareness that okay, this is
Wow. That's
this is what's
huge.
keeping me back, right? If you
Yes.
can if you can find that
That is
awareness,
huge.
that's key, that's huge.
Hmm.
And then what a lot of people don't, the part that people skip, this is the part that I skipped, is
Hmm.
the acceptance phase. And this
Wow.
is what trips people up is the our limiting beliefs and our blocks are actually trying to protect us. And I know you're thinking
Yeah.
right now, you're like, Constance, wait, what? So me thinking that, I'm not enough is trying to protect me. And I'll use
Hmm.
myself as an example. So when I decided to start building my company, I didn't want to put myself out on social media
Hmm.
and start talking about it.
Right.
And I got down to this, like, this fear of being seen. That's what actually what it was. Like, I
Wow.
didn't feel like if it was
Hmm.
enough, it was this fear of being seen. So
Hmm.
I thought, okay, how is this block? How is this limiting belief trying to protect me? Well, I think that if I put myself out there, well, what if people judge me? What if
Right.
people, like,
Yeah.
question me? And that doesn't feel safe,
Mm-mm.
right? So me
Yeah.
holding on to this belief and me staying small and staying in this limiting belief, it's protecting me because, well, it thinks it's protecting me
Right. Right.
because, oh, Constance, don't put yourself out there like that
Mhm.
because you don't know what's going to happen. Someone could judge you. But
Right.
once you
Yeah.
accept that and work through it, then you can step through the fear and take the aligned action. So
Mm.
a lot of times us trying to prove ourselves is
Mhm.
just that it can we get stuck in that limiting belief and that block and just having to overcome that.
And I love how you talk about limiting beliefs, and we all experience that, especially coming out in the scene. So let's talk about this because limiting beliefs is so huge.
Huge.
And one of the things that I'm learning about limiting beliefs is we can tend to hold on to something that once served us.
Mhm.
So, what would you say to somebody who in the past, yes, it's true that that limiting belief once served you well, but where you are going now, you can't take that with you because it no longer serves you. How do you help somebody shift even that when they
Yeah.
know like it once was something that served me? So you're telling me I need to cut ties with that? How does that work?
I like to think of it as we are continuing to always up level and become a better
Love it.
version of ourselves,
Hmm.
right? So what once served that version of me, it might no longer serve who I am becoming. And that's okay. Even
Right.
friendships, right?
Right.
So you think about like the friends that, maybe you had through high school, maybe you had,
Hmm.
through college, maybe you a coworker, that you met and you decided that you wanted to up level your growth and that friendship is holding you back a little, right? Maybe
Wow.
they're not in the same growth mindset.
Wow.
It doesn't mean they're a bad person, right? it,
Right.
it doesn't mean that. It just means they're not, this relationship isn't for you in this next chapter, that
Right.
you're writing for yourself. And that's okay. It has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with you. It's
Right.
just where you're going, where do you want to go, and what could possibly hold you back from getting there.
Yeah. And I love that because I know that a lot of women deal with that
Mhm.
because they build these friendships, childhood friendships with other women, or your high school friendships or your college friendships. And I mean, you were really close and they know some of those deepest secrets and they've been there through those darkest moments. So some women have a difficult time pulling away. So
Mhm.
can you share with the audience, like, maybe an experience you've had where, yes, that was my friend that helped me in those darkest moments, but through my growth, I realized that I still love them, but I have to grow and I can't bring them along, not in like in the space or the spot that they used to feel like it's no longer gonna serve me. So how do you do that
Yeah.
without feeling like, oh my God, like I'm like just a bad friend or. So tell us about a moment you may have experienced that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, an example that I can think about would be in my younger years. We would I loved to go out and go to social
Hmm.
events.
Hmm.
And that was really fun. And as I got older,
Hmm.
I don't like that. I don't like doing that as much anymore, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. Like, it's been a
Right.
long week. Like, I enjoy staying in, making a good dinner, and, like, watching TV, or reading a good book, right? I'm okay if I go out once a week or once every couple of weeks. And
Right.
so I have those friends, and I love, and let me just say, when I stay in, like, I love, love, love to read. And I read a lot
Hmm.
of growth books. Like, I just finished reading Untethered Soul. It's an incredible book. But so as I'm staying in and learning and growing, right? I have those friends that are like, "Come out, come meet us. We're going to
Right.
this event." And it's just like, goodness, I'm not aligned with these friendships anymore, right? Like, they're not
Love how you
reading.
just said that.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're not. And even when I do get together with them, they might not want to talk to me about Untethered Soul, like the book I'm reading, right?
Right.
They're still talking about the weekend before their
Right.
crazy night out. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, like, I'm not so sure this friendship is aligned for me. So what I have to do at this point is I have to set boundaries. And
Love that.
what happens when you don't set boundaries? So let's say you go, "Oh, I don't want to be like the bad friend, so I'm just going to say yes, and I'm just going to meet them, or
Wow.
I'm going to show up and I'm going to play
I
small
hope
and not."
y'all are listening because this is so good.
Like, let's say you're out, you've been doing all this self-growth for yourself, and you don't feel like sharing it, right? Because you're like, "Oh my
Mm,
gosh, are they going to think like I'm weird? Like, I'm
right.
reading these, like, growth books of, like,
Right.
my soul and my whatever that looks like for you,"
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And what you're doing in that moment is you're self-abandoning
Mm,
yourself.
wow.
It's self-abandonment, and it's people pleasing.
Mm.
So whenever we don't set boundaries, whenever we people please, we are putting them in front of ourselves.
Yes.
And over time, that self abandonment leads to very low self-worth.
Wow. Wow.
And that is why when you question yourself, "Gosh, should I set that boundary?
Mhm.
What do I do?" Just remember that you are worthy, extremely worthy, and you don't want to wake up in a year and still be stuck in that same place. So always, always, always choose yourself, and always
Right.
choose your growth.
And here's the thing, what I'm learning as I get older is if a person is truly a friend, they'll understand that you are growing and trying to expand, because really that is what we should want people around us to do. I mean,
Mhm.
I want that for strangers. Like, I want people to walk in their purpose, walk in their calling, find out who they really are, their identity, who it truly is. So when I see that, I love it for people. I mean, I can get teary eyed for people I don't know who's
Mhm.
telling their story. So if a friend, if you're listening, if you're feeling torn and all that, then you really do have to question, are these really my friends,
Mhm.
if you're feeling like you have to choose and you can't be your true self during your growth period, because we're forever growing. Like, that's how I feel. So
Absolutely.
you said so many great things. So many great things. Now let's talk about this piece that's so challenging for people, because so many people talk about vision and goals and trying to reach those things, but I believe in my heart of heart one of the things that they miss is the piece of clarity.
Mhm.
If you don't have true clarity, I just believe it's impossible to navigate and, live out your vision and goals, because that is like just so instrumental in that. So let's talk about why clarity is so crucial, and not just for business success, but just personally. Why is that such a crucial piece?
Yeah, so I like to think of clarity as getting clear on who you authentically are.
Mm,
When you came here
wow.
on this earth, your soul has purpose. And so
Mhm.
getting back down to who is that? Like, what is
Mm,
authentically aligned with me? And put away all of that societal programming. So,
mhm,
when I think of, and this, I'll kind of give an example, or a little, if anyone listening wants to kind of follow along and
mhm,
journal as you're listening, that I recommend that. But to find clarity with, it starts with your core values, which is your,
mhm.
I call them like authentic roots, but
Right.
a lot of times are, most people will know them as your core values. And
Mhm,
those are that's your internal compass
mhm.
to your entire life, to making personal decisions and making business decisions.
Right.
So when you get really clear and have clarity on what your core values are, what is authentically aligned with you and not your ego, your
Right.
soul. So
Mhm,
that's the key thing, right? So I always ask, well, what is it that you love to do? Tell me 5 or 10 things that you
mhm,
absolutely love to do. And my clients will, write that down, and then it's like, well, why? Well, why do you love that?
mhm.
And what those will root down to is 4 key words. So my 4 keywords are freedom,
Wow.
connection, experiences, and nourishment.
Wow.
So those values are my internal compass
Mhm,
that help me get clear on what decisions that I make. So, is this going to bring me ultimate freedom? Do I have
mhm,
connections with nature? Do I have
mhm,
connections with what I'm building at work? Do I have
mhm.
connections with the people that I'm hiring? Do I have connections with the people around me? Experiences. Like, I
Wow.
love to, create experiences for loved ones and create
Right.
experiences for my clients. And then nourishment, like what
Mhm.
nourishes my mind, body, and soul.
Right.
And when
Yeah.
I think about those questions, so if something, comes to me, if like a vision, right? I'm setting a
Mhm.
goal for my company, or I'm setting a goal for a personal achievement
Right.
that I want to hit. And I ask myself, is this going to nourish me in some way? Is
Wow.
this, if we hit these goals, is it aligned with my core values?
Mhm.
And if it's not, then you need to get, really
Yeah.
really honest with yourself
Mhm.
and ask, is it the ego? Is it your
Wow.
ego that is wanting this, right?
Mhm.
So I think a lot of times people can get a little bit nervous with even saying like, I want money, right? Like
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
be rich. And it's like, listen, there is no shame in that.
It's not, because
There
that's
is
a part of
nothing.
the freedom piece. Yeah.
Yes. There is
Mhm,
nothing
mhm.
wrong with wanting an abundance
Right.
of money. Money is a tool in this
Right.
system that was
We needed
created
to
that
exchange.
yeah, we need money to fulfill our soul. So maybe like your soul is fulfilled traveling and seeing the world.
Mhm.
Well, guess what? You need
You
money.
need money.
So your soul is fulfilling people by coaching them or consulting with them or helping them solve their problems.
Right.
You need money to get yourself out there so
Mhm.
people can find you, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I always think that people get nervous around saying that they like their vision, that they want like to make a certain amount of
Mhm.
money, or they want to achieve that. And that's not ego, as long as it's tied with what that money is going to
Right.
provide is going to be from a authentic soul driven place, and that is where you're going to find purpose and fulfillment. And if it doesn't, if you want money because you want to buy the hottest car only because you want all of
Mhm.
your friends to know you bought the hottest car,
Right.
that is the external validation. That
Yeah.
is where you're going to wake up one day and say,
Yes.
gosh, I thought money was going to
Right.
buy me happiness. It
Right.
doesn't if you're just
Right.
chasing those external validations, but
Yeah.
it will buy you happiness if you're fulfilling your soul.
Right. Right. Let me ask you a question because you're using the word ego.
Yes.
Can you have freedom in ego?
So I think you can have a good ego. I
Hmm.
think it's really good, and I'm not sure if that's what you're asking me, but I think there's a bad ego and I think there's a good ego. I think it's really good to have that self confidence and all
Okay.
of all of
Okay.
those things, right? Like that's not bad ego. When I talk about bad ego, I relate it to anything external, right?
Right.
So if you have to have something done, if you have to prove yourself to someone else,
Wow.
that to me is a bad ego.
Yeah.
But the good ego is just like I'm a
Yeah.
rock star and I'm confident and I'm doing my
Yes.
thing and I helping people and I know I'm good at what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. Like you rock that. Like I love
Yes.
that, right?
Yes. Yes.
So there's good and bad ego, and it's really, really nice to have it. You should want to have a healthy ego, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
And you nailed it. And I love how you brought the confidence in because some people are even shame of the confidence. Like they'll make it seem like having confidence is like a bad thing,
Mhm.
but you
Yep.
can't do what you need to do successfully lacking confidence.
Yeah.
Like it is a must that you have that confidence. And I love how you explained that confidence is that positive side. That's that good ego
Yes.
versus, the bad ego of I'm just doing this for fame, show, or whatever. So you nailed it.
Yes. And a lot of us feel that. A lot of us feel the I don't want to shine. I need to
Mhm.
play small to make others feel comfortable, right? Mm-mm. No, 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 you do not. You keep shining. You
Right.
keep doing your thing. Do not play small to make others feel comfortable. As long as it's coming from a healthy ego, I love to see
Mhm.
people shine, and I love just to see people really in their element.
Right. And that should rub off. Like when it's that healthy confidence,
Yes.
that healthy ego, it encourages me. I'm like, I can
Yes.
do this. Like, so yes, audience, there's nothing wrong with having that confidence and
Yes.
just stepping out and shining because
And
especially if you know you're called to do something, rock
yes.
it.
And
Yeah.
that is when you become inspiring to people. That is when you
Yes.
become envious. Like people are like,
Yes.
"Oh, wow."
Yes.
And envy is healthy. That's
Yeah,
like
because it's like you realize she is in her fit. That
yeah.
is,
Yes. I also want to add something else here that's is a really great exercise that I love to do with my clients.
Mhm.
It's called Spot It, You Got It. So if
Wow.
you see something, a quality in someone else that is shining, that is great, that you admire, it is also inside of you and it is
Wow.
waiting for you to release it and for you
Wow.
to shine. So know that everyone in our life is a mirror reflecting back to us what is inside of us too. So if there's like, oh, if you're saying, oh, I wish I could be confident like that, you
Right.
actually can. And you
Wow.
just have to
Love
get over
that.
that limiting belief and that
Yes.
block because
Yes.
internally your soul's going, no, no, wait, no, no, we are actually like
Right.
waiting to shine. We need you to step through that fear to do
Yeah.
that. So you spot it,
Spot
you
it.
got it.
You got it. I
Spot it,
love
you
that.
got it.
Spot it. You got it.
Mhm.
All right. Let's talk about this because we kind of talked about it with the ego pieces, but you talked about how there's a difference between chasing goals and living visions. So, how can someone move from hustle to purpose. And that is huge because this society is a hustling society.
Mhm.
So how do you move from that when it seems like when people make it seem like that's the only way to get ahead? So how can we move from hustle to purpose?
So I do see a big paradigm shift
Hmm.
happening right now where the collective is shifting from that hustle mode to
Hmm.
wanting to take aligned action to living with purpose. And so
Hmm.
back to discovering what lights you up. So for
Hmm.
instance, I love to travel. Like I don't
Hmm.
make, and I'll be very honest, I in the past have not really lived this part of like my purpose
Hmm.
out. And so for 2026, I went through the entire calendar already and I
Good for
marked
you.
out all of the weeks, and there was
Hmm.
like 8 weeks that I am
Yes.
completely taking off and traveling to
Good for
Europe and
you.
all these other
Yes.
places, right? And I never allowed myself to do that in past years because I always thought I had to be in hustle mode. I
Mhm.
always thought, well, you know, I can't take time off. I have
Mhm.
to like be working, working, working. And you
Right.
absolutely don't because it doesn't lead to a fulfilling life. So, like that
Right.
hustle mode, that action, like get things done at all costs, it
Mhm.
just leads to overwhelm. It leads to
Yes.
anxiety. It does not lead to a purposeful life. For instance, if let's say I had all the money in the world and had all this ton in my bank
Mhm.
account, but I didn't feel like I could actually go on vacation, then
Yeah.
what's the money for, right? If I can't,
It serves no purpose.
right, if
Yeah.
if spending time in new places is what lights up my soul,
Yes.
but I'm not making time to do it because I'm working nonstop making all this money,
Yeah.
then what is the money
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
right? So you have to understand that there's no wrong or right to how you
Mhm.
wanna do it. If you don't wanna go on vacation, I actually know people that don't love to travel,
Mhm.
and that's fine.
Right.
That's not part of
Yes.
what
Right.
fulfills their soul, right? Um, so you can not that you have to stay in hustle mode, but you can build with aligned actions, and you can even if you're working, let's say an employment job, right? And
Mhm.
maybe you're not an entrepreneur, there's ways that you can start investing using your money right? There's a
Mhm.
oh gosh, there's a book called I'll teach you. I wish I had it next to me right now. His name is Ramit. Oh, maybe I'll have to give it to you so you can link it and
Okay.
you can tell
Yes.
your listeners about it.
Yes.
But it's like how I'll teach you how to get rich. And it's so interesting because he says, okay, here's how you have the money work for you. So here's what you're gonna put 10 or 20% here. And so
Mhm.
basically it's like get out of that hustle mode.
Right.
Start building that generational wealth, that wealth for
Yes.
yourself in
Yes.
different areas so that you can start enjoying and doing the things you like. Maybe it's just putting your phone away at 5 o'clock
Right.
every night so you can spend time with your
Right.
family or your friends or
Yes.
your loved ones, right? And not feel like that anxiety of like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
an email just came through at 7 o'clock at
Mhm.
night. I need to get back to this person.
Exactly.
You don't,
Yeah.
right? It absolutely can wait. So it's really, again, just about getting quiet with yourself, understanding like what fulfills you, where your purpose is, and then
Yes.
taking aligned action and building and creating your life around that. So if that means making sure you're spending time with family and friends and you're not missing your kids, t-ball games or dance recitals,
Right.
or you're
Yes.
traveling, like those things, when not to get too serious, but at the end of the day, when we're on our deathbed and
I
we're all
set
going to
up.
die at one time at some
Yes.
point, right? We know that are we going to look back and say, I did all of the
Right.
things that fulfilled me, and I was there for the people that I wanted to be there. I made time for the people
Mhm.
that I wanted to make time for. And if we look back and go, wow, well, I built $1 billion company, but wow, I don't
That's you.
really, you're not taking
Yeah.
that $1 billion
Yeah.
with you.
You
You're
can't.
not. You're not
Yeah.
taking any of your trophies. You're not taking any of your achievements.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
only taking your soul. You're not even taking your body and your mind with
Right.
you.
Yeah.
You're
So,
just your soul.
yeah, and people do that. I've seen that where people just work, 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 whether they're working as someone else's employee or they're running their own business, but it's like they're not taking time to enjoy it.
Yep.
So it's like, what is the hustling for? Just to accumulate for
Yeah.
things like you said that you can't take with you, and you're gonna leave it behind for people to just
Yep.
spin up, So that is so so true. And
Mhm.
I had to tell myself that, like,
Yeah.
you can't just keep working and keep working and keep working if you're saying I'm doing this for freedom, but
Mhm.
then you're not giving yourself that freedom to, or allowing yourself that freedom
The
to spend
freedom.
time with family, and you're making the money but you're not saying, okay,
Yeah.
let's make memories, let's do this. So that
Yeah.
is so good, so good.
And there's times, so let's say you're thinking, well, I have to hustle because I don't have the money to pay for these vacations that
Hmm.
I want to go on, right? And that's absolutely fair. Like, I'm not saying that you can just
Hmm.
take every day off, right?
Yeah.
You do need to work hard, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with having ambitious goals, and there's nothing wrong with achievements, right? Those are all really great things,
Hmm.
and I think we should all have them. But there's ways to create freedom and all of the things that we're striving for, we actually have them
Yes.
now. So for
Yes.
instance, I have one thing that I'm very, very, very disciplined about is the freedom of my time. And so my
Yes.
mornings, the 3 hour, I have 3 hours in the mornings where I do all my self-care. I do go to the gym. I do
I
all my
love
things.
that. Yes.
And there is nothing that is how I honor that. So the freedom
Mhm.
that of all the things that I want to do, that's part of it, right? The freedom
Yes.
to work out and nourish my body and
Yes.
read and those things in the morning. And so while like you might not be able to, you maybe you want that, ultimate freedom, and you want to be able to do all the things and you can't afford that right now, you absolutely can find the freedom somewhere in your life now to create that, and then just
Yes.
more abundance is going to flow in.
Yes, I love that. You have to find those moments. That's, as you were talking, for someone that's listening, it may be just moments,
Mhm.
little moments within the day where you say, this is my time. I know when my children were older, I couldn't just go to the gym and leave them, but they knew when I went in the gym to, or in my little garage, that was my gym. They knew you can't mess with mommy. Like, it has to be life or death, because they knew that was my moment. Even if
Yeah.
it was, you know, 30 minutes, it was my moment to, for myself, to be in
Mhm.
my thoughts, to run, to just, it just energized me. And they knew and they respected that. My husband respected that, because they know that's how I was going to be a better person
Mhm.
for everybody. I
Exactly.
needed to,
I
so
love
if
that.
you're listening, you just need to do moments. It's
Yes.
things you can do that don't cost anything, don't cost
Mm.
much, but even if it's soaking in the tub for a few
Bubble
minutes.
bath. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
like,
That's a
yes. Yeah,
amazing self-care.
yes. So I love that. So let's talk about, one of the things that we talk about a lot in our podcast, and in my book, I say this all the time: freedom to fail. Because some people look at failure as setbacks, and they look at it as, I'm just gonna stop, I'm not gonna move forward because I failed. But how can what can you say to the audience about using failure as fuel, not as like a end result of, or being out of gas, but as actual fuel, that can help propel you and help grow you? What would you say to people that
Yeah.
are listening?
I think that if you don't fail, how do you learn and grow
Right,
and become
right,
better, right? So
right.
where failure becomes a true failure is when you can't take that opportunity to learn something. If you
Wow.
learning, it's so important, right? You can fail hundreds and hundreds of
Hmm.
times, and then you can have one big win, and that's all
Right.
you need. And you see that a lot with a lot of big founders. So I
Mhm.
actually have a friend that he started a tech company, and he raised money. And one of the investors asked him, have you started another company before this where you raised a lot of money and did you fail?
Wow.
And he was a little nervous because he had, right? So
Yeah.
he had raised, I'm probably only a couple million, but that's still a lot of money, right?
Right.
So he raised a couple million, and that company that he had previously, it didn't get off the ground. But, of course, he had to tell the truth. So he said, yeah, absolutely. And here is what I learned. And
Wow.
gave all of everything that he learned from, that failure of that company to what he's going to apply to this new company. And the investor said, thank you. I actually won't invest in a founder that hasn't failed
Wow.
because that means they haven't learned.
Learn.
And so
Wow.
that is like a perfect example of someone who is willing to invest in someone
Wow.
because of a
You
failure.
haven't
And
failed, you haven't learned.
yeah,
Man.
right? Think about just even our little a little failures
Mhm.
along the way of just like, gosh, like that didn't work out so well for me.
Wow.
What can I learn from
Yeah.
this? Another one can be, which is really interesting. I feel like it's not talked about enough, is a fear of success.
Wow. That's not talked about enough.
So I used to have that, and I see that a lot in people because then that's a huge limiting belief and block. And
Mhm.
when my coach at the time told me, Constance, and this was about a year and a half ago, she said, I think you're afraid of success.
Wow.
I thought, what? No, who's afraid of that? Right?
Right.
Like that doesn't, I don't help me to understand that. And so, what at that time, what I was calling in was and working towards was a certain income level.
Mhm.
However, I my patterns had shown that I wasn't the most financially responsible person.
Wow. Wow.
So, what was happening, that limiting belief, that block inside at a very, very deep subconscious level that I
Yeah.
didn't see was there, it was going, no, 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 no. You can't handle that level of success because
Wow.
you don't know how to manage your
Mhm.
finances.
Wow.
And so when
Crazy how your
I
own
was like, oh my
subconscious will see.
gosh, it was like
Yeah.
that was subconsciously blocking me, this
Mhm.
huge limiting belief that I couldn't manage my finances.
Yeah.
And I will be the first to admit, like, I haven't read a lot of, or I hadn't read a lot of
Mhm.
financial books,
Mhm.
and I didn't know a lot about investments. I didn't know a lot about, what percent of my paycheck should be going to what
Right.
areas,
Yeah.
right? And there's an art
Mhm.
and to knowing all that. And
Yeah.
so that's when I was like, okay, well, I guess I need to start learning about
Yeah.
finances and where my paycheck needs to go so that I can show the universe, I can show God, I can show, whatever who you
Mhm.
believe in, that I am ready to receive
Responsible.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am responsible. I can
And
take this
capable to handle. Yes.
and
Yeah.
handle it because
Yeah.
it can be a lot. A lot of people will
Yeah.
get money, and then what happens is they'll just spend
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
They'll just go out and spend it all
Yeah.
because, again, that's a block that they actually can't
Mhm.
manage it, so they get rid of
Wow.
it.
Wow. I hope y'all are listening because you're right. And some people think they're ready. And, it's like, not yet, because you have to be honest, like with yourself, to say, it's some things I need to learn and I need to get in order
Mm-hmm.
before,
Before,
I'm ready to be responsible with that.
right?
I love that.
And
But it's a choice of two, once you recognize it, of doing the work, the
yes,
necessary work to
and
change that.
do the work and
Yeah.
really. So if you are calling in an extra, let's say $20,000,
Mhm.
when that comes in, are you going to pay off that, $4,000 in debt? Or are you going to go out and buy
Mhm.
yourself a nice
Right.
handbag or go on a
Right.
shopping
Right.
spree, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
really showing, the higher powers that you
Mm.
can be responsible. That
Yes.
was one
Yes.
thing that I really had to do, that take me to the next level, but I had to unblock and rewire
Mhm.
because I wasn't taught about
I was
finances.
gonna say that, like,
I
as you were talking, I'm like, I wasn't taught how to be a good steward of
no,
things. It was
I
like if it came in, it was spent, and it
yeah,
wasn't. We weren't taught about investments and
no.
good spending versus bad spending.
Yes.
All those things. But if you're listening, you have to become very mature in stewardship because
Mhm.
that is so beneficial to growth, and with keeping, because just because the money comes in, if you are not a good steward over funds, you're going to be back at square
Yeah,
one. So yeah,
absolutely.
I love that. So let's talk about this before we this has been so good. um we already kind of talked about relationships at the beginning, but we do know that authentic
Mhm.
relationships are so instrumental to growth. And I can say that I've had a difficult time with that because of my
Mhm.
upbringing of knowing how to build those authentic relationships personally, for one, and now learning how to do that professionally. So, what are some ways that you can share, with us and me and the
Mhm.
audience of how to build those connections, those authentic relationships?
I love this question. Authentic connections is probably one of my absolute favorite things, and it's a
Mhm.
superpower of mine. I didn't
I
realize
love
that.
that.
So I had to get, I was like, gosh, how have I been able to build such incredible, genuine connections
Mhm.
in my personal and professional life? And it came down to a few things that I noticed is one, always make sure it's mutually beneficial.
Love that.
So,
Yes.
for instance, when you and I talked about, coming on this podcast, I
Mhm.
want to make sure that I can provide value to
Right.
your listeners, right? I
Yes.
don't, and you're in exchange giving
Yes.
me exposure to getting
Yeah.
my voice and my
Yes.
authenticity out there, right? So we're both giving and taking
That mutual
in this,
exchange.
right? So we
Yes.
have that mutual respect between each
Mhm.
other. So that is in any relationship, personal and professional. If you meet someone who is just take, 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 that's
Wow.
exhausting. Like
Yes.
time to set a boundary. Like
Yeah.
that's not a relationship that's going to get you anywhere. And then the same on the reverse, if you want to connect with someone and you're thinking, okay, how can I? Because I'm a big believer in it's who you know, not what you know.
Exactly.
If you can sit at the
Exactly.
right tables,
Yes.
opportunities, doors
Mhm.
open that are absolutely, unstoppable. And
Mhm.
so if you find someone that you're like, okay, I would love to connect with this person virtually, coffee, like whatever it may be, you never want to reach out and say, hi, I'd love to like pick your brain.
Right.
We've all
Yeah.
had those.
Yeah. And we've
I
said that.
I
Yeah.
actually think I used to send emails like that when I was, back in my days when I had a tech company. I was like, "Can I pick?" Reach out to other
Yeah.
founders. "Can I pick
Yeah.
your brain?" Like, no one wants their brain picked.
Right.
Like no one has time for that. Just like, oh yeah, let me give you an hour to answer all of your questions.
Right.
Like that's very kind,
Yeah.
but like I have to be able to give them something. What value can
Mhm.
I provide them? Right. So
Right.
figuring that out um, is like incredibly important. And then once you actually do get time with this person, active listening.
Love
So
that.
I can't tell you how many
Yeah.
times I've been somewhere and I've asked someone their name, and then like 2 minutes later, I'm like,
They're like, what
dang,
was your name again?
what was the name?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like, it's one word, right? And I
Mhm.
can't remember the name.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, am I active listening? So like when you're having a conversation with someone, when you're meeting them,
Mhm.
actually be present, be 100%
Love
present.
that.
Put your
Yes.
phone away. Put all
Yes.
the thoughts that go, listen, we have so many thoughts. Our
We
mind loves
do.
to
You
take
have to
over. Our
just
mind's like,
shut it down.
it's like, hey, hey, listen to me over here,
Mhm.
So here you are trying to have an authentic connection, and your mind's like, how do you look in this dress?
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
what? I'm that. What does that have to do with this conversation that I'm trying to have? Or like,
Yeah.
I wonder if my hair looks sweet. Do I need
Yeah.
lipstick? Do I? It's
Yeah.
like, no, 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 mind. I need you to calm down for a
Yes.
second. I need you to be quiet. I need to be present, and I need to be able to take in what this person is saying, so that then, and this is a really good tool to understand if you're actually active listening. Can you, in some way, repeat back
Love that.
what that
Yes.
person said?
Yes.
So, oh, so what I'm hearing is, and then repeat it back. Then that
Mhm.
person feels seen and heard.
Yes.
Everybody loves to feel seen and heard,
Mhm.
right? So, being able to repeat that back, and they're like, oh, wow, this person is actually listening to me. And
Yes.
that is going to build trust. And once you have that trust with someone, it's unbreakable. There, you'll always have that authentic connection as long as you're, living in integrity.
I love that. I love that. So, people, you have some key things when it comes to building those relationships and connections. And you're right, I've had to learn that. Like, when I'm face to face talking to people, I have to shut down all those compartments that are just running wild in my brain because I'm like, let me respect this person enough because I said, yes, I'm available. So you have to do that and you have to have that listening ear because to me, that is respect and that is what you would want to
Mhm.
be reciprocated. So you have left people with some key points
Good.
of building those connections. And I know I'm growing and growing. My biggest
Love
thing
that.
was trust, but you said it right. When you feel like you're being heard and people are listening and they have some value to add as well, then that helps with that trust too. So
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, I'm gonna open the floor for you. Look, this has been so rich, like so rich tonight. So, how can the audience, the listeners, how can they find you?
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram. My full name is Constance Curtis. That's ConstanceCurtis. Feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram and say hello. I absolutely love
Love that.
to hear from people.
Awesome. I love that. Well, Constance, it has been a blast. Like this time has gone by so fast, because it's just been a great, rich conversation. And I just appreciate you for pouring into the audience. Well, from the gutter to growth audience, until next time, you be blessed and we will talk to you later. Bye bye.
Thank you.
All right.